One thing I didn't have on my bingo card was Rich Rodriguez crying as they played Country Roads. Maybe I should have expected it all along, but it's time to forgive and forget.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, baby. The day after a win is always the sweetest day indeed. And here we are, the day after a stunning, well, not a stunning, but definitely a dramatic just day overall, and a huge win over Robert Morris just to get this new era up and running. And here we are. We finally did it. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day, the Mountaineers, of course. And thank you for being a part of that as an everyday listener. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. And like I said, my name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host, and I got to be honest, man. I think it's time we forgive and forget Rich Rodriguez. I am personally not one of the people that was angry at Richrod. I had forgiven him a long time ago, but I've noticed that there are people still holding on to that. And it dawned on me yesterday as I was watching his press conference that there were still people, he still feels the need to publicly plead. You saw it yesterday, right? You know, he went out of his way to say how grateful he was for this opportunity again. And no, is he saying, I'm sorry directly? No, but it's indirectly, right? He wants people to know that he's grateful, he's happy, he's thankful, and all that, and realizes that this is an opportunity that probably shouldn't have came along again. Had it not been for the worst coach since the 1970s, record-wise. Neil Brown was a great dude, and I liked him, but obviously the record sucked, and we got tired of that. Had it not been for a coach that bad, we probably don't see Rich Rodriguez again. And it really took a special set of circumstances for this to happen, considering he had to be at a FCS school / FBS school and start winning again just when we were at our worst. So Rich Rodriguez walked around the stadium, and it was awesome to see. And I don't know who said this, but I'm going to repeat it. So whoever wrote this earlier on X, I apologize. But somebody noted, it was nice to see him step back and listen to Country Roads. And it was nice to see the media recognize the moment and let him. I agree. It was nice to see them let him do that, because it was a moment that was intimate, and sometimes you just got to read the damn room. So that's where I'm at with it. And we've already got somebody in the chat that's, who knows who they are. It could be a Pitt fan, it could be a whoever fan. He said, you and the rest of Yankeeville keep hanging on to that dream. It's going to become a nightmare soon. Yankeeville, huh? I didn't realize West Virginia was Yankeeville. Like where I grew up at, it was an hour away to the closest Taco Bell, gas station, Walmart. If that's Yankeeville, then I'm sorry, bro. I've been some places in West Virginia that you can't get out of without a map. So I don't know about all that Yankeeville junk either, but I mean, all you can do is laugh at the idiots. I don't know, man. I just saw a lot of hatred towards Richrod yesterday. It just bothered me. That's it. That's it. So I got 5 reasons, okay, and then we'll move on to why I was right again. And I know some people tell me that's off-putting. I don't really care too much. I just got to do what I want to do on the show. And number one, I think he's proven through remorse and actions, not just words, that he's made a mistake. He said it many times since '07. And then now many times since he's gotten home, and his emotional vulnerability, calling the crowd unbelievable, praising the greatest tradition in the country, calling Country Roads the greatest. I thought it was heartfelt. I believed it. It was on his face. They gave him the game ball after the show. He took a moment to look down at the game ball. He's either a great actor, which is possible, totally possible. I don't think so. I think he loves West Virginia. He made a mistake going to Michigan, and he knows that. And there are some people that are never going to accept it. It's just a fact. In recovery, we have uh, a lot of things around based on forgiveness and acceptance. It's just the way it is, right? Like if you look at the big book, page 417 and 418, acceptance was the answer. Acceptance was the answer, right? Is what it's called. And acceptance is basically, for instance, like whenever I went to jail, and even though my aunt put me there and I didn't do it, I've talked about this publicly a lot. I was the boy who cried wolf because I had written bad checks at a point in time. And for those of you that aren't familiar with my story, I'm in recovery. But anyways, I was in jail, and even though I didn't do it, I had to accept the fact that I was there and I was going to be punished for it, right? Acceptance is not agreeance. I don't have to agree with something to accept something. And at this certain point, you just have to accept the situation for what it is. Richrod's not going anywhere, and he's going to coach for this West Virginia football team. You can either get with it or you can't, basically, right? So I think success is already back at West Virginia. In under a year, the program has been revitalized. Over 33,000 season tickets sold, the highest since before we moved to the Big 12, right? So probably the last season tickets that were measured that were close to this were probably still because of what he did. So they're both his success and his fault in a way. Time has healed wounds, and I think the fan base has moved on for the most part after 18 years. Hopefully there's been some forgiveness. The community has welcomed him back with open arms in most cases. I think number 4, past controversies have been resolved without lasting damage, is what I have wrote down here, because obviously the things that happened with the suing of West Virginia University and all that, I don't think it caused lasting damage. Thankfully, it could have gotten a lot worse. And number 5, forgiving fuels future success for West Virginia football is what I have written down here. He's 62. He's a West Virginia native. He's probably got 5 to 8 years left, unless he's a Pete Carroll type, which he very well could be. He's very energetic for 62. I think he is fully committed to this for the next 5 to maybe even 10 years. And like he stated on his return, he's going to build the best program in America. That's what he wants to do. I think he's capable. I've seen it before. So that's my thoughts on the scenario. Hopefully you guys are all good with it. I'm not trying to preach at anybody. It was just something that was weighing on my heart just a little bit because I am a Richrod lover and always kind of have been. I've always rooted for him, even after he left Michigan. I was mad for him at first. I was mad at him at first as well, like a lot of you. But I'm in a place now where pretty much since he was at Arizona, because he was a West Virginia guy, it's hard for me when a West Virginia guy has success. It's hard for me not to secretly take pride in that. It's just the way it is. All right, let's go to break. On the other side, what we'll do is talk a little bit about the top performers from yesterday, and I was right again. We'll talk about that too. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by none other than GameCap. Look, I have to be honest, man. We had a quick question for all of you college football fans out there. If you could go back in time and sit in the front row to your school's biggest rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Yeah, I said that. I said hat. For me, it would be probably the Sugar Bowl game, right? You know, those are awesome games back in the day. And if you want to even no, you know what? I'd probably go 88 national championship game. I might do that one. Even though I wouldn't know that he would get hurt. Talking about obviously the quarterback that played for us that we all love and Major Harris. These aren't just hats. They're the same vintage styles worn back in the 80s and 90s. And guess what? They still go for the same price they did back then. When you use code locked on, you get a vintage hat for $16.99. Head to gamecaps.com. That's thegamecaps.com and grab your team's classic bar or retro circle style design and use code locked on for an exclusive discount because legends wear the game. And of course, we couldn't get out of here without talking about our friends over at Game Time. Could we, friends? College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. Of course, tailgates, the rivalries, everything that you love about them are back, baby. And look, the energy in the stands, like yesterday in Morgantown, was like nothing like it. Let's be real, though. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself sometimes. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to its fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time in just a couple taps. I saw amazing deals, and I'm talking about your favorite West Virginia games for as low as $25. I love that it's a streamlined app that I can mess around with easily and not have to do too much with. Unlike some, man, where it's like, okay, I can't even find the settings. Where are they? So take the guesswork out of buying tickets today with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. And remember that the terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off today. Swipe, tap, ticket, go download today. What time is it? It's game time. It's segment 2. Let's crack open a do, guys, and talk about a couple of things here that I want to get into. So, first thing, I reposted this earlier on X. I'm going to see if we can find it really quick. Let me get over here to X. Okay. All right, let's share the screen with you guys really quick. So I posted this earlier. Maybe in my replies. Yeah, right here. So I posted West Virginia's wide receiver room is as deep and as talented as it's been in a decade. Yet another example is here where you'll see a video of Justin Smith-Brown, who was timed at 4.4 in camp, hitting 4 to 42 inches in his vertical leap. Keep an eye on the wide receiver room in Morgantown this year. That was on August 24th. And of course, Nico Markiel had high praise regarding the depth of the receiving core. Having receivers like that, man, I mean, it was clear we might be the deepest team in the Big 12 at wide receiver. So I just felt, once again, I just wanted to point out, I said this before the season, coming into the season, by my evaluation, I felt like we had the deepest room that we've had in 10 years. And it was nice to hear Nico validate me and make me feel better about that because I just wanted to show you guys. It's really what it comes down to. I mean, I wanted to show you guys that. I thought it was cool. Not trying to toot my own horn too much, but so much of this offseason was me pounding the table, telling you guys, man, we've got better players than you think. I know that guy's from the FCS. I know that guy's from the SCS. I know that guy's from the group of 5, but just trust me, he's a good player. And it's like some of you wouldn't believe me. Some of you wouldn't listen. Some of you didn't care. I understand that. I get it. I'm not like I tell people all the time, I'm a hobbyist when it comes to studying tape. I definitely don't do this for a living like Richrod, right? So I mean, I'm definitely you could be skeptical of me. It's not I don't get offended over it, but when I'm right, I at least want to point back to it and say, hey, at least this guy agrees with me. And Nico said, hey, Nico's been here for 3 years. I said many times, we didn't have a receiver like Justin Smith Brown here underneath, even though he didn't play very well yesterday. He kind of went in the doghouse. I still think he'll have a great year. We didn't have a guy as explosive as him here when Neil Brown was around, much less, anybody else. Now, Jaden Bray, I think he's more of a possession receiver, which kind of showed up yesterday, but which is great. We got to have those. He's an NFL guy, I think, if he can reach his potential. So, but he was just one of a myriad of really good performers yesterday. Pro Football Focus has released some numbers. And so I have 5 thoughts on the numbers, and we'll also get into the specific numbers as well. So, number 1, Nico Marchiol was way better than we expected, or at least I expected. So, I'll be honest. I thought Nico would be solid. But 17 to 20 for 224 yards and a tutty, plus 56 yards and another score. I think he showed poise. His decision making was good. He had a dual threat edge that we knew he could do, but needed to see. And his pocket presence and ability to extend plays were there as well. He is a gritty player, just like Richrod said. He's a playmaker, and that deep ball he threw to Cam Vaughn was absolutely beautiful, although a very tough catch for Cam. Very tough, as a matter of fact. That's probably my first thought. Now, I don't know if it was just yesterday because we were taking what they were giving us. Rich Rod's offense has never been stand back there and read and throw it around. But a lot of these were just hitches to Cam Vaughn. There wasn't a lot of difficulty involved, and I just want to see what Nico's going to do when he's asked to throw the ball into some more windows. Can he be a guy that can stand back there and read the defense when he needs to? That's the next step for him, and I'll be waiting to see what happens there. Number 2, and just as big, Jahiem White didn't tap out. Remember what I told you guys early in the offseason. I'm not sure if Jahiem White can do what Richrod wants him to do. And it happened yesterday, 6, 7, 8 runs in a row. It's really hard to do. And we heard him talk about it on 3 Guys. We heard him talk about it on 3 Guys, man. I mean, it's true. Like he did have problems with that under Neil Brown. He did have trouble with tapping his helmet after a run or 2. He did have to bulk up and get tougher, and he did do it. That's a huge thing for us. So he's a spark plug. I think there was questions about his stamina as the lead back, and hopefully we can put those to rest because he was electric at times yesterday. He hit the hole with burst. He did carry defenders for extra yards at times, although I still feel like he can do a little better there, my opinion. And he scored a few touchdowns, which was nice to see. So absolutely proud of Jahiem White and what he did yesterday. He deserves all the praise he got today and yesterday, for sure. There's Zach in my chat. One of the people, like I said, there are some people that just at the end of the day, there's no forgiveness for some, there's just some people that won't forgive. Like I like to say all the time, how can I, who deserve to be buried under the jail, not forgive somebody for something as little as football? Like I'm lucky to be out in society, much less. And this is based off my, obviously as an addict, you do things every day. So, I'm so lucky that as a person that was able to reform my life, that I was given that chance. God forbid me hold it against the guy for taking a different job. That's just how I feel about it. It makes me feel like conflicted inside whenever I judge people. Like, that's just me personally. I'm not saying anybody else. So that's just how I feel about it. And I understand there are some people that aren't going to forgive him. I get it. I totally understand. I've accepted that. I get it. So number three, and this is a little bit of a negative thing. The offensive line is a concern, but give it time. I think some of the things that happened yesterday, I watched back some of the tape today. I'm only half a quarter through because I had to record and I was watching other football games and I slept in a little bit. Give them time. They had a rough day yesterday at times, as evidenced by the Pro Football Focus scores. Nick Cray had a 69.5 and 61 snaps. That's passable. We'll take that most weeks. 69.5 is average or just above average. You can take that. But it's definitely not what you want your highest offensive lineman to be ranked. The next one is Michael Clay with 12 snaps to 68. Landon Livingston had a 65. Let's see. Josh Isosa had a 63. Donovan Haslam had a 62. Kimo Macanioli had a 62.3. And you guys remember yesterday I told you he struggled. He did struggle. I told you yesterday. He struggled. He got beat on plays yesterday. And what's worrisome about that is it's against an FCS opponent. So, I don't know if it's because they were running the same plays a lot. I think Robert Morris has some pretty good starters on the defensive line. Like they had the one guy that's like 300 and something pounds that was pretty good. Maybe he's just a Power 5 guy. That's what you hope. Like maybe they were facing guys that just haven't been recognized yet, haven't moved up yet. It's very possible it happens every year, right? Just think about this. Somebody in junior college had to try to block Bruce Irvin at some point in time. Somebody in junior college had to try to block Jamoy Robinson at some point in time, right? So it's not like there couldn't be a guy on Robert Morris's D-line that could be a handful to handle. I just want to point that out because it's something that, in my opinion, needs to be pointed out. But when you're looking at the scores on the O-line and you look at what the starters did, you start with Nick Cray at 69. Then the very next guy you get is Chemo. Is it Chemo? Let's see. Nick Cray, 69. Landon Livingston, 65. Chemo Macaniole, 62. Let's see. Gosh, we're going way down here to find Walter Youngbear, 55.8. It's really bad, guys. Really bad. It's a worry. It's a fear. It's something that can be improved. It can be improved. Not the end of the world. But some of the things we saw yesterday were our eyes weren't lying to us. I told you I watched today a little bit of the quarter. I watched, on Jahiem White's touchdown run. I think I still had the picture somewhere. Yeah, right here. That's Kimo Macaniole getting beat by that guy right there. And Jahiem White was able to slither through the hole over the line here. But, this guy stood him up and pushed him back at least 3 or 4 steps right here. I watched it. I've watched it many times. It's just one play. So, let's not pretend like it's the end of the world, but it's a microcosm of kind of what happened yesterday. This dude right here was a problem for us yesterday. He got in our backfield some. He's a good player. Now, like I said, he could be a good player and we just don't know it yet. Or, like we heard during camp, they struggled to get push. Can you imagine Hammond Russell, who was one of the highest scorers yesterday, going up against him every day in practice? No wonder they didn't move the ball as much. Thankfully, Richrod's offense is a little bit of motion. There's a little misdirection. You don't have to overpower people to do it. But our offensive line is still a concern. And I want people, in my opinion, it needs to be better going forward. I would like to see the scores raise up quite a bit before Ohio. On the other side, guys, we'll read the other Pro Football Focus scores and talk about some of the best guys because there were some really good things that happened yesterday. Um, I just had to get to that O-line part because it's like the only negative thing, really. We'll be right back. Guys, we have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about advertising. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey and get started. And everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. And you can only find the link in the show notes. Thank you for helping us out, or go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. And of course, this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Richrod. And if you're not Richrod ready, what are you doing with your life, man? What are you doing with your life? So, guys, you probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Richrod Ready. Richrod is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow, unlike the usual pills that can take hours. Richrod's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast and on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked for you, Richrod might be your answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. You make 150,001. Head to Richrod.com/LockedOnCollege and use my code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege and use the promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. And remember this, individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but not FDA approved, and do not undergo safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review under the FDA. Please visit the Richrod website for full safety information. All right, guys, let's roll with it. Yeah, it's definitely the hard-edged advertisement. Oh God. So obviously we left off in my thoughts. Number 3 was the offensive line is a concern, but give it time. You know, there were misassignments. Obviously, Robert Morris has more players than I think that people realize, but you know, it's an FCS opponent. At the end of the day, you're supposed to dominate up front. And I told you guys in the pregame, I wanted to see guys knock back 3 yards into the backfield, and that just didn't happen at times yesterday. Number 4, the defense has some dogs, and this is something I told you guys in the offseason as well. You know, just reading the tea leaves, looking at the tape. We put more money by the numbers into the defense. If you look at it, like, let me share a screen with you guys here. Okay, boom, here we go, right? If you look at it, some of the numbers from West Virginia are here. So Scotty Fox had the best grade you can get, just about with a 97.5 on 3 snaps. Quarterback Nico Marchiol, a 93.6, which might be number 1 in the entire Big 12 on 61 snaps. Jalen Henderson had a 92 on 12 snaps because if you'll remember, the one throw he made got dropped. It was a dart. It was perfect. And then he had another one that it was a miscommunication, but it was the receiver's fault, not his, to McBee, I believe it was. Cam Vaughn I think is going to be the best. Like I told you guys in the offseason as well, I think he's going to be eventually end up being the best receiver in the Big 12, or at least one of them. My guy, Sincere Bowers, baby. That's running back number 2, if you ask me. Just my opinion. I think he needs to be there. Thanks to Rivals and West Virginia Sports for this, by the way. This is where I'm getting these numbers. I know Pro Football Focus has them, but this is where I found them. Logan Ramper is a guy that I told you guys about that I think deserves more playing time. Hopefully he gets more playing time. 79.4. Jaden Bray, 75.3. Jacob Barrick, 74.9. Jahiem White, 73.1. And obviously the snap totals matter. If a guy's got 3 snaps or, 6 snaps, even 12 snaps, it's not exactly a great barometer. So, keep those in mind. I thought Jacob Barrett got more than 19 snaps yesterday, but he didn't. Maybe we'll see more of him going forward because he's a good blocking tight end. Jed Genros had 6 snaps. It was nice to see him get in the game. Michael Clay, 68 grade, 12 snaps. Lennon Livingston had a 65 on 60 snaps. Clay Ash on 14 snaps. He got blew up and hurt, 65.6. Tyler Jackledge had 2 snaps for 64.7. Preston Fox had 17 snaps for 63.8. But if you factor in what he did as a returner, then you might as well just bump it up 10 points at least, right? He was an elite yesterday returning kicks and punts. Josh Isosa, redshirt freshman transfer out of Oklahoma, 63 grade on 18 snaps. Donovan Haslam, 62 on 12 snaps. Kuma Makaniole, your starting right guard, had a 62.3 Pro Football Focus grade on 61 snaps. That's just unacceptable. Brandon Hamady, 60.7 on 6 snaps. Noah Braham, 60.3 on 8 snaps. Christian Hamilton, 60 on 3 snaps. Carson Lee, 59.9 on 19 snaps. That's got to get better. Ty Edwards, 59.6 on 4 snaps. It's just not enough. Malik Ogbo, 58.9 on 18 snaps. It's got to get better. Gerald Williams only had 3 snaps. Grayson Barnes had a 57.4 on 35 snaps. That's really bad. That's so bad. It's got to get better. It's just got to get better, man. All these guys got to get better. And then your worst performing offensive lineman of the day was somebody that I thought would maybe be your best offensive lineman coming into the year. And that's Sykes Crawford at a 56.5 Pro Football Focus grade on 61 snaps. It's absolutely horrendous, as is Rodney Gallagher's grade at 56.2. Jeff Weimer had a bad grade, but keep in mind, this is the first game. I don't want to be too hard on anybody, but Walter Youngbear down here at 55.8, the numbers bear it out. Our offensive line struggled. It's got to get better. Ben Bogle, let's flip over to the defense though, because, at the end of the day, this is where I think this is what's going to keep us in a lot of games, in my opinion. A lot of games. Right? So my fifth and final thought, and we'll throw the defense in with this, context matters. Robert Morris was a tune-up, but Ohio University is next. I think we're going to be able to score on them, thankfully, but our defense hopefully can have another performance like this. Ben Bogle leads the way with 77.2 on 10 snaps, 9 snaps. I pounded the drum for him all off season. Hopefully he gets more snaps because I think he deserves them. Hammond Russell, 76.6 is an amazing grade for a D lineman. Congratulations, Hammond. No surprise to see Fred Perry on there at all. Chase Wilson, obvious. Reed Carrico had an amazing game yesterday. Reed Carrico had the best game of his career yesterday. Hopefully that's more of the sign of things to come. So proud of Reed Carrico. Braden Siders played well. Devin Grant played well. Only 21 snaps. It seems like every time we heard his name on almost half of those, if not more. Eddie Kelly had a good grade. 17 snaps is all he played. Ben Cutter, man, he had the biggest hit of the game almost. One of the 2 or 3 biggest hits of the game. Jackson Beiser had a pretty good grade. Asani Redwood had a decent grade for a backup D lineman. And it kind of falls off from there a little bit. But, I mean, what I've always been told, I think anything over 68 is considered average. I have to go back and look. It might be for NFL or for college. Let me look this up real quick, just so we have context. All right, so okay, so I'm wrong. 60 is average. 60, not 70. I was for whatever reason I thought 70 was average. So and the way they grade Pro Football Focus from my memory serves is they're okay. Here's the way they would do it: +2, -2. Right? Let's say you miss a block first play of the game. On the second play of the game, you're -2 in the hole. If you have a positive block and you pancake a guy and you score a touchdown, that's still only going to be worth +2. So you're back to 0 again, right? If and so on and so forth. So +2, -2, +2, -2. And then at the end of the day, you factor all that up, and whatever your grade is your grade. Um, so thankfully nobody's in the negative. But you can see some of these guys like Devontae Golden Nelson, that's a rough performance. 39.5. Not good. Not good at all. Curtis Jones had 59.5 grade, which is his average on 22 snaps. It's got to get a little better, though. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the only people we really need to be worried about is anybody below this line here, I would say. Well, 59.9 is basically 60. Ty Edwards is 59.6. Let's go below Ty Edwards, maybe. And then say anybody from here down on the offense is got some work to do. Malik Ogbo, Gerald Williams, Grayson Barnes, Cyrus Traw, Colin McBee, Tykees Crawford for sure, Rodney Gallagher for sure, Jeff Weimer for sure, Gerard Bowie. It's hard too because it's like he was throwing the ball. It's like I don't know, man. I'm not going to sit here and try to overjudge on all this because it was just one game. I guarantee you Jeff Weimer makes plays if he's given the chance the rest of the year. That's what I know. That's how I feel. Being brought in off the bench, none of these guys were throwing it. What are they grading this off of? That's my other question. It's like, what are they even grading? What are they doing to even be graded? Did Jeff Weimer even have the ball thrown his way? No. So are they basing it off his route running? I don't know. It's confusing sometimes. All right, guys. Ben Bogle looking really good, Lewin. Appreciate you for asking that. I appreciate you so much, y'all, for everything that you do for me and for tuning in and continually showing up. I know I'm long-winded sometimes, and I appreciate you for sitting through it. But let's get out of here. We'll talk later. I'll probably do another episode here in a bit. Before we do, though, we got something really fun to tell you. If you didn't know, on Drake Toll's channel, we had the very first one. It's another big moment on Locked On. College football fans got to be excited because Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation along two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Hawley, and, of course, Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. So that's a pretty big deal, right? Gary Patterson, Drake Toll, we've earned that. We're excited about that. Let's hopefully it continues to grow from there. All right, guys. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. And we'll talk to you later. Have a great rest of your weekend. And Ohio University, baby, next. We got to preview them next week. A lot to talk about there. Hopefully we'll see you then. Good night.